Tragically, at least 4 people have died as a result of Tropical Storm Florence. Dozens more have been rescued so far, and crews are out in force to help many others that may be stranded. Now, this is a testament to just how dangerous these types of weather events can be. So for now, let's bring in severe weather safety expert and meteorologist Charlie NEESE. Thank you for joining us this morning. At this point in the storm, what's the biggest threat right now?
It's going to continue to be the flooding as the storm is very, very slow moving, dumping inches and inches of rainfall. In some locations, we've seen well over a foot of rain. Another 1 to 2 feet will be occurring. And so areas a little farther inland as we go through time, we'll see the kind of flooding that we're seeing right now from Jacksonville down to Wilmington. Devastating.
And this is days that people have to be concerned about this, correct?
That's right, and already the ground is saturated, so everything that falls now will be running straight off into the rivers, continuing those, in some cases, record rises. And because the ground is so saturated, as those 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts still occur, we're going to be seeing more and more trees down, which will contribute also to even more power outages. Do you have anything you want to say to residents who may be stranded at this point and can't get out? You know, that's a tough situation, obviously. If you continue to see the waters rise, like yesterday in New Bern, we had some folks going up into the attic. If that's your last resort because you're surrounded by water, make sure that you take an axe up into the attic. That's going to allow you to chop a hole through the roof. That's the only way in many cases, once you're in the attic, to actually get out. So do that. Hopefully we won't see any more of that. We've had days and days of warning, too, that this storm was going to be a major catastrophic flood maker, and it's living up to that. So hopefully anybody that was living in low-lying areas was already evacuated or already making their plans to do so. I don't even own an axe, so that's certainly one thing that I need to get to keep myself prepared. A crowbar, anything that you can get a hole through the roof. Absolutely. Now, do me a favor. Oftentimes when people see these flooded waters, they go wade through them, they want to get outside of their house. What's the danger you're talking about? Downed power lines, you don't know whether or not they're still active and they could be doing harm. You look at debris that could be in the water. Just talk about what could be the dangers in those flooded waters. Yeah, absolutely. The number one real danger in that is the flow, because it doesn't take but about a foot of water to sweep you off your feet. Number two, the water is toxic. It's been flowing through areas that had maybe gas stations, that sort of thing, propane tanks. So the water is very toxic as well. It's poisonous. But you certainly want to make sure that you find high ground as best you can. But most people underestimate the power of water. And also, more than half of flash flood deaths happen as people try to drive through the water. They put themselves in those situations by driving into water, and you certainly don't want to do that. Yeah, and we're looking at some FEMA safety tips right now. If trapped in a building, go to the highest floor, as you just mentioned. If you have an axe, crowbar, anything that you can take with you, take that. Do not climb into closed attic, though. You could get trapped. So that's definitely something for people to keep in mind, and get on the roof only if necessary. That's right. And we had several rooftop evacuations and rescues yesterday in New Bern. And again, as this system continues its slow move inland, we're going to see more and more areas affected by flooding, and also more and more power outages, as well as those trees. Their root structure just cannot stand up in these saturated grounds. Well, right, and that's what's so devastating about the storm. You mentioned how slow moving it is. I mean, from about 24 hours ago, actually not even 24 hours ago, when it made landfall around 7:15 a.m. Eastern time yesterday morning, it's only traveled about 90 miles. That's right, and it's going to continue that very slow movement over the next 48 hours. As we get after that, we're going to start to see the steering currents kind of pick it up and start to speed it up a little bit. But the weekend is going to be devastating, continuing to be so for the Carolinas, North Carolina and South Carolina both now. Absolutely. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.